Okay, hello and welcome. Today I have a very special guest with me, founder of Theory, Dr. David Berceli. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. It's good to be here again. I enjoy talking with you.
Lovely. And of course, my name is Simba Stenqvist. I run the holistic lifestyle company called Living with the Spirit in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And today we're going to talk about something called internal alchemy, which I guess we could say is in the family of theory. Would that be a correct assumption to call it?
Yeah, I think it is within the family of TRE, but I want to start with the basics with you. First of all, in a very simple way, what is alchemy?
Alchemy is the process of changing one material substance from one form shape to something else. And when I
Hmm.
look at alchemy in terms of people, it's usually emotions. Each emotion is a chemical, thoughts a chemical, emotions, sensations. So the process of changing chemicals in this chain, in this aspect, is what I think about when I say alchemy.
Okay, so then internal alchemy is taking science and applying it to the body.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're thinking about internal alchemy and TRE, why are you combining them? What do you think is going to, um, what is the benefit of combining the two of them in terms of just the individual themselves first, but then also you as the trainer observing and working with the person in the TRE process?
So I would like to say it becomes an extension of the work that you did, of course, with TRE and the knowledge of the nervous system, but we start to go in more into energy and the field of it. We talk about like mirror neurons and so on in from the polyvagal theory. What I feel this modality will do is it will go deeper into the realms of energy, fascia, and what it does to me as a provider or trainer is that I will be kind of be like a tuning fork for the other person and helping that person become more attuned just by bringing them questions, awareness, and by me being who I am. So that's really the, can call it like a continuation of the nervous system. It's beyond co-regulation because you actually start to change the field around you, not just how I feel, nervous system, but anything around you will start to become a little bit different when you open up these possibilities within you.
Okay, so now you're talking about alchemy, which is the chemical adjustment. And then
Yes,
you're saying, well, that creates an energetic adjustment. And then collectively, that creates an anatomical or potentially psycho-emotional adjustment. Is that correct?
correct, correct. And what you said with internal is when you change the internal environment through the process of alchemy, the external start to change. That's why we're not saying external, because the external will follow what happens internally. And
Hmm.
just like you said, changes the chemistry, biosocial relationships, but it changes. There's a field around you. You know, your heart emanates magnetism, there is electricity, there's magnetism in the body. So you start to change the field around you when you bring awareness to it and you have practices like internal alchemy, where we bridge a lot of different aspects. And theory is definitely the base with the tremors.
Okay. So now let's think about the chemical reaction in terms of alchemy, and then you're talking about energy.
Yes.
Which one of these is changing first? Does energy change chemicals, or does the change in chemicals change the energy? Or is there sort of a dialogue that goes back and forth? How do you perceive this happening?
I actually am not sure. I just know it works. And I believe when you asked the question, what came to me is whatever needs to change first.
Mm,
If there's an imbalance in chemistry, that's probably going to be what needs to change first because it's going to affect the energy field, right? If the organs are low, the frequency in the whole body becomes low and the energy field goes down.
mhm.
I think it's hard to just change the energy itself, but I'm not going to say I know 100% because as I know working with people, it can change. It can be sometimes you need to change the energy and then the organs and the chemistry changes, and sometimes the other way around. It
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, I think you're right about it because my experience, just from the TRE perspective, is that my only job truly is to be present. And if I'm really grounded and present, not only am I doing that physically, but I'm giving off an energetic field that's already been proven by the science of physics. And if I'm giving off an energy field that's safe and comfortable for the individual, see, then they're going to begin to energetically move into my field, which will adjust theirs, and the chemical response will participate in that. So in one sense, it's almost like all three of them seem to, in a very intricate way, work together, maybe each one bubbling up to take more importance or value in a 1 minute process that may start with anatomy, but then it changes the chemical, which changes the energy, or it may start with the energetic field, which changes anatomy, which changes chemicals. It seems to be like a little bit of a juggling act. At least that's been my experience.
100%. When I look at it from traditional Chinese background, the engines, like with the engine of the body, it's kind of the organs, right? The inside. So when the engine of the body or the organs, they play together in harmony, they start to buzz and they start to create these fields. And a lot of the knowledge from traditional Chinese medicine has to do with different organ produces different emotions, chemicals. If they're strong, they can get rid of toxic or breaking down tissue kind of chemicals. And if they're not, then they're going to break down. It's going to be a low pH level in the body. But if they are strong, you're going to be more readily available to handle things. And when I look at it more from a Western perspective, to say, oh, your levels are low in B12 in this, eat a supplement. Whereas that's an isolated way of looking at how can I actually improve the quality in that organ and in that body. So when I look at internal alchemy, bridging both Western and Oriental or traditional Chinese medicine and all these different modalities that I worked with over the years, I'm looking for the most pragmatic, practical, non-dogmatic way that simply works. And that I know because I've done it myself and in others, and that you can feel the results as you do it. No matter what you believe in, you can just like with the tremors. Okay, I shook. I feel relaxed. I don't know why, but it works.
Right. No, I think you're right. There are two things that you bring up that I think are very helpful and interesting. One is we're going through the process as TRE has spread globally at looking at what's the Western, what we call Western way of articulating it, which is more didactic, anatomical, neurological, more in that Western medical mindset. But then when you talk about energy and spirit and potentially soul, this is more in the more natural cultures around the world that would be Asian or Latin American, or even here in the Middle East, where they incorporate other dimensions that are sort of not looked at so seriously in a Western modality. And you're saying, well, if this is the way the culture articulates it, and this is the way the culture inhabits themselves, then we need to start bringing that into their TRE experience as well,
Yes,
because then we can get them to feel comfortable that the tremor mechanism TRE fits in with their concept of worldview and their concept of the view of the individual in terms of how they inhabit life.
exactly. There's no dogma to it. I'm not going to present something that's going to go against your beliefs in any shape, way, or form. It's more what you said. It's a pragmatic one. You can explain it however you want to, depending on where you come from culturally, religiously, or just traditionally. And this is the way we look at things. So it's open to be included into everything. It's not going to be, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
What I'm looking to do is to create an not expensive, expansive, that you can actually expand upon your belief system and to just be curious, you know, how can I be curious in a way that opens me up more than just mentally? How can I be curious in a way that maybe starts to make these magical, mystical things that might seem woo-woo, but it's not. It's just, I think cultures and traditions many times has made it look like it's supernatural. And you can still think it's supernatural, but for me, it's just natural. It's kind of like we have forgotten about the natural order of how to work with mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
However you choose to call it. And if you look at the research now in quantum realm and field, well, they're basically saying what all traditions and cultures and religions are saying, but just in a different language. But
Yeah.
they're talking more about this is a technology, like there's a
Right.
technology behind it. And here we
Right.
talk more about this is from this spirit or this or that. My main point is that doesn't really matter because certain things just work.
Yeah.
However you like to look at it, however you like to see, certain
Right.
things just work. And if you can learn them, make up whatever story you want to fit your narrative. Just practice it because it will help you and it will help others. That's basically
Right.
the message I want to relay.
The message is perfect because it's fracturing or breaking down the rigidity of
Yeah.
having to see something from just one perspective, either culturally or individually. And you're right, the field of the science of physics, and the way it's looking at the body now and energetics is mimicking the science of religion or the history of religion or spirituality, as an example. And they're realizing we're saying the same thing. We're even having the same experiences. We're just using different words to describe it. Now, in terms of TRE and how nicely you're incorporating these modalities and identities, is that since TRE basically started in a what we call the Western European American model, the Western mindset, it started to explain itself in medical terminology. But when it started to get applied to different cultural contexts around the world and different experiences, all of a sudden that breaks down to I feel spiritually, or I feel energetically, or I feel something not just calm and relaxed, but expanded boundaries, or my vision is broader. And so now they're saying, I've brought into this tremor mechanism that you've identified from the West. I brought into my own experience, and my own experience is articulated this way. And I include talking about my energy field, and I include talking about uh, my consciousness. And so, what you've done is you've taken this and you've said, all right, let's incorporate it into a broader way of articulating our human life experience. And it fits in perfectly because the tremor mechanism, much like the energy field and the chemical fields in the body, is genetically encoded in us. And so it's one of the natural components inside the human body that does interact with these other dimensions of our humanness. And so it's not an imposed modality externally. We're just helping them to access the internal modality they're already designed to. And then we let it do the dialogue with these other elements of the human organism.
100%. That's exactly how I look at it. And it becomes more of the mechanism of tremor or connection that you get to yourself will explain to you and show you what's there. It will become the journey itself. And then how you choose to explain it, I think it goes beyond tradition and culture. It's really where are you at? It has to do with your awareness, your ability to connect and see or not. And there's no hierarchy or rank in that. Whatever your experience is, that's your experience. However you choose to explain it, that's how you explain it because you have the awareness and capacity from where you come from.
Right. Right. I think you're right. What I like about what you're doing is you're offering these integrated modalities, but then you're saying, I don't want to give you too much theory around it or too many of my words. Experience this and then allow yourself from your own way of giving an articulation to it. because that's a more integrated way, because somebody might include more energy in their vocabulary, somebody might include more spirit, somebody might include more out-of-body experience, some might include a deeper inner sense of self. All of them are 100% correct, and all of them are necessary because each individual must articulate it from their own way, because that's the integration of the experience for them and the ability for them to continue on exploring from their perspective, which ultimately, as you know, it might change 2 months from now. And the way they articulate it might completely change, but they needed to go through the 2 month process of letting the articulation express itself in different words.
I agree. I agree. I would say, I mean, tremor is a way to explain it too. I would say make it your own. Like it's not really about tremoring mechanism and it comes from this or the brainstem or that. Where does that come from? Where does it start before the brainstem? Where is that really goes through you? I don't know. That's really what I want to do. I don't want to keep people in that. That's a one model of explaining it, which I like and it works, it's practical. But I want to expand upon that. So that also is a big piece of why I kind of reached out to you and started to work with
Right.
us together, because I wanted something that allows people to go outside of the box. Because
Right.
when I expand your awareness, consciousness, personally, spiritually, you need to kind of leave the room. I mean, I think I used that analogy with you before. If this is a wall and I push and the wall just disappears, I go, oh, what happened? Now the box is bigger, right? But that's just your
Right.
awareness. It's
Right. Well, we've already talked in the past about people who've done psychedelic psychotherapy
yeah.
where they've tremored without even knowing about TRE. Their body tremored or vibrated, and they all express it in different ways. My energy field opened up, or my body started vibrating or resonating with the environment or the universe or whatever. And so they had the experience of that vibrating thing, but they were never taught from a single perspective what it is. So they had the freedom to give articulation about what it was according to how they felt it to be.
Mm, exactly. And I mean, that can happen through some experience with psychedelics. DMT is naturally released in your body. I think all of these things, people are using tools to connect to different natural sensations that you don't need an agent to induce into your body. And that's really what I'm looking for people to have that natural, authentic experience, which can be psychedelic itself, but you don't need to add anything. You just go by what's already alchemizing in your body, and you will have a journey that is magical, that is beautiful. How you explain it is really up to you. What I'm looking to do is just give people a few glimpses, share a few of the knowledge, but not too much of dogma, so on, to open your mindset. But also, as we're talking, as we know from TRE, something is listening. It's not
Yeah.
just that monkey mind, something else is listening. So it's going, oh, maybe we can try that. And with the tremors, now there's an
Yeah.
opening or the movements or the shaking, whatever we choose to call it at this point.
Right.
Something else can move through. And that's really what I'm looking for, because that is when it becomes really fun.
I agree. I think it's kind of funny that you're suggesting this method, this technique, and you're saying, I'm going to tell them as little as possible rather than filling them up with all sorts of explanation and then let them give articulation to the experience. I think it's wonderful because in some ways, even the younger generation appreciate, okay, take me through the experience and let me decide for myself whether that's useful or not. And let me tell you what I think about it or how I feel about my experience, because they don't want any more dogma and modalities that demand you must do this, 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 and this. They're saying, look, just give me an experience. I'll interpret what value that might have for me and whether I thought it was useful or not.
I agree 100%. And that's really when it comes to the realm of that. when I was looking at, okay, how do you actually teach this? Okay, it sounds great. That's my opinion. Okay, this sounds great. Great. I'm convinced. I love it. Okay, what do we actually do? How do we actually teach this? And I really came down to it has more to do with who shows up. I can't say this is how I'm going to teach it. I can have an idea. It's like a tremoring session or a theory session. Okay, today we're going to try this. I don't know who shows up. I don't know where their nervous system is at. So it has to be relational.
Oh, very good.
It's really working with what are you bringing into the field today and connect to that and learning how to resonate together in that way. Not that I come and I actually want to impose something on you, more what is this field I speak to, I see, and together we will figure out what is it that's actually going on. It's like I have maybe half a brain, you have the other half. And when we
Right.
meet,
No,
now we can actually unite.
that's excellent. I love the word relational. It's like whoever walks into the workshop, it's like you adjust to that relational dynamics. And then that's usually how it works, because I do that even with TRE. I know what TRE is all about and how to teach it and everything, but I wait until I see who's there to figure out how's the dynamics going to work and how are we going to just use the mechanism um, to help facilitate the relational aspect of us all moving together to what we call grow or move forward in our humanity, depth of our humanity. So I think that's really good. I don't know how you would write up a an explanation of this that would invite people in, but I think it's very clever and I like it a lot.
I think it's a lot about the internal journey. When I was explaining it, it's about the internal journey, and awakening is a it can be an interesting word in many ways, but enlivening, invigorating, it's when you actually come out of a state that you've been in and you start to realize things, it's like you wake up, right? When you're asleep, maybe you're dreaming, maybe you're not, and then you wake up and start to move your body. It's going to be a different experience. And this is the same, right? But it goes beyond just the nervous system and the model of the nervous system because of the relational aspect that you can have with anything. So that's really why I want to inspire people to grow beyond the concepts of a certain theory, even if it's great, even if it's helping. How do I actually go beyond that? Okay, I have to maybe let go of something and see if that comes back to me or if there's something else beyond this. And I think that's also a big part of my inquiry or why it was kind of birth and I was feeling, wow, I should follow. Something is guiding me to
Mhm.
explore this path. And I reached out and we talked about this. And I think that's really the birth of it. So it feels like the modality itself is guiding me and I just become a voice for it and figure out along the way with the messages that's coming, how do we expand upon that?
Yeah. See, now you're adding another dimension to this, which I believe is happening globally, particularly in the younger audiences. You're saying, well, there's kind of a consciousness that's kind of guiding me, or it's telling me, or it's giving me insight and even an impulse to move in this direction. So now we're asking, what is consciousness? And science has already figured out consciousness does not exist in the brain. It is a field outside in which the brain gets access to it. But it's an impulse of movement towards itself, in a sense. Consciousness is moving us towards consciousness. Now, the younger generation gets this. They want to follow an impulse. They can feel it's happening, and they're kind of breaking down this old modality or this older consciousness of, there's rules and laws, etc. And not that I'm against those, but they're saying, yes, but there's an impulse moving me to come alive. And I want to follow that. And I need, quote, non-traditional modalities to do that. And I think you're satisfying that for them.
100%. That's really a big part of what's coming through as I'm talking about it. The ability to communicate beyond words, to communicate beyond thoughts, and to have something just coming through. And I'm not talking like medium or something in that sense. I'm not going into that field. It's It's just something else. You can call it intuition, you can call it gut feeling, but it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
When you learn to tap into that, something else happens. It's like a symphony, an orchestra. You can start to relate to other things and you start a different life path, usually from the people I've seen, creating modalities and so on. But it's something driving you and you can't explain it. You don't know really what it is, but it's a strong urge. And
Mm-hmm.
it just makes you to do all of these amazing things. And if you can listen to that, if you can attune to that, that's what I'm looking for with internal alchemy.
Yeah, that's perfect right there. I think that's everything because I think the people who are going to come to you are at that place where they're saying, help me tune into myself and whatever at a deeper level. I'll know what to do after that. I'll have the impulse to move, but help me get to that place where I can um, be more open to letting that impulse come in more as clearly as possible to help give me the guidance in the direction I want to move in.
100%. That's really my intention, right? Like, where do I start? It's like, okay, where are you at?
Yeah, right.
Why are you
Very,
at?
very good. Okay. Well, I think it's wonderful. I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of possibilities, and I think you can get a large population. And I'm always proposing for younger people because I think they're at that place now and just need a little bit of encouragement to move more deeply in that direction.
100%. I'm really looking forward to sharing more of this aspects and bringing in what needs to bring in, right? So it's not, okay, now we have a module one, we're going to do this and that. It all comes down to what needs to be brought in for you to understand it. So the trainings might even look different from group to group,
Mhm.
depending on what's needed. So that's also something I'm very interested in
Yeah,
exploring.
I have the rare opportunity of traveling around the world and seeing the different ways that different trainings, just in the TRE world, but also people including their own cultural context of the way they teach TRE. So there's a foundation of what they're teaching, but it's so flavored and nuanced by cultural context or language or religion or spiritual dimensions. And it's beautiful to see it's being sort of rearticulated in many, many different ways, as it should be. Um, uh, but the essence of it still stays the same.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think that is like language, it's a set of different words and sounds, but it makes sense to you when you understand it. And this
It's
is this is kind of the same. It's just on
yeah,
a deeper level.
yeah. Very good. Okay,
Wonderful, wonderful.
excellent.
Thank you so much for joining in and for asking the questions. And I'm gonna start weaving internal alchemy into TRE first, and then I'm gonna do more standalone modalities. I'm gonna start now in May. So if you want to know more about that, I'm going to leave a little link here below and you guys can reach out to me if you want to talk about it. It's going to be continuous program starts throughout the year. So I'll drop all the information here below. But thank you very much for joining, David, and thank you for all the work you're doing and for guiding me into this field and beyond.
Yeah, and thank you. This is fun. I support your creativity. I think it's going to go far, so I'm really happy about it.
Thank you. Thank you.